Hi.
Well, yeah, it's Carmen San Diego.
What you say?
I said you're Carmen San Diego.
It's a little
Do you
different.
not know who Carmen San Diego is?
I love her. Where in the world is Carmen San Diego?
I'm going to broadcast my screen here. Does that work? Can you guys see? Why does it say that I'm Kalea? We're all Kalea right now.
Say that again?
My name is showing up as Kalea, and so is Hillary. You guys
Yeah,
get that on your screen?
Yeah, that's weird. I wonder why it's doing that.
Well, I was able to rename myself. If you go and click on the little dot, 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 yeah, there we are. Hillary's renamed herself. Well, so good. We are all...
Can you both hear me okay?
Yes, can hear you well.
Good.
How about me? Am I doing all right?
Very well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good. Finding all my windows here. Close many of them. Close my email. I'm a little worried about things popping in. I'm trying to find the Q&A. Once I presented, I can't see. Oh, it's only a two now.
Just as a reminder, that once we go live, I'm going to mute everybody and you're going to need to unmute yourself when you speak.
Got it. So Hillary, we had talked about, since you're up first, when we go live, we don't really know exactly how many people, like we can't tell until we go live how many people are in the webinar. And so we thought we would, so I'll have this screen up. And so we thought we might just, wait 1 or 2 minutes just to sort of see, like, are people still streaming in? Is there a ton of people already? So as soon as we go live, you don't have to sort of be like, hi, let's start. You can either just say nothing for 30 seconds and sort of wait, or you can say, something like, thanks everyone for joining. We're going to wait 1 or 2 more minutes for everyone to get settled before we start, but you don't have to launch into your welcome the very second we go live.
Hey everyone.
Hey Tiara.
Hi.
You have to rename yourself. For some reason, we've all defaulted to being Kalea. We don't really know why.
A bunch of me's in the world. That's kind of scary.
Great. How's everything looking? Is it going?
Kalea, you're on mute. You're talking, but we're not hearing you.
I have it in the agenda, but Megan was just we were going over a few things again that the slide will remain for a couple minutes and
Okay.
Hillary will begin speaking. We're just going to wait for people to trickle in. And then as a reminder, as soon as we go on, I'm going to mute everybody and then they'll have to unmute themselves when you want to speak.
Sounds good. Gotcha. Let me get everything geared up.
That's why we're here in the pregame here.
Yes.
All set.
Cool.
So I have no idea how many people will be on this. It could be 30, it could be 300. I sent out the invitation to like 450 something people, I think. So
Yes.
word is getting out already. So yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was. Oh, listen. So they asked. I tried to get the link, the application launched last night, just so that it could be all set and ready to go. We launched it last night, and I was like, oh well, we don't launch or announce it till tomorrow at 3. That's when we talked to everybody. We had applications coming in, and only because we hadn't officially launched, we're like, okay, well let's pause and wait until everyone knows about everything and has questions answered. But yeah, but it's I asked them to launch it and open it back up at 3. So and funds are there and ready to go, so we're all set.
Sounds good.
But it was like a good sign that a lot of people are interested.
Megan, I think we have a minute. Are you all able to notify the people who had been on the wait list so that they know how to reapply?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we were just talking about that today. That won't go out today, but it will go out sometime between now and early next week to those folks that were on the wait list. So yeah, they'll get that notification.
At some point, where am I? At some point, we just have to also, we'll have to see how the processing goes from like beginning to end in terms of when people are able to get their money. Because at some point, we'll just have to make a determination where we are towards the end of the year. I mean, I'm hoping we can keep this live as long as possible. And then I'm actually hoping Congress extends the CARES Act deadline. And that way we can just kind of keep it, going all the way through. But right now, we have the end of year deadline.
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll see what happens in the next week, but I think we'll know an awful lot between now and just the end of next week as to what kind of demand we're looking at. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if we run out of the funds within a few weeks, but I can be completely wrong. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah. But remember, the only thing
soft launch.
Right. The only thing I would say about that is you all have the remaining child care monies. So
absolutely.
We may not take those back if, we may just repurpose them if this go,
Yeah.
All right,
Jeff and I are already talking about that.
We are at the 3-minute mark, 3 o'clock mark. So we don't want to wait on Kofi or Ashley to join, right?
I see a 5th. Are you?
I'm on.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
I was like, I see another ukulele. So I was wondering if that was, but I'll ping him now to see if he can join.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and take us live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you very much for joining us. We're just going to wait a few more minutes and let people join us, and then we will get started. Thank you so much for joining us. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for this webinar on a new exciting new program that we're very, very excited about. My name is Hillary Chambers, and I'm the Chief Deputy County Executive for Oakland County. We have been proud to partner with United Way for Southeastern Michigan on a number of initiatives as it relates to the CARES Act monies that the county received to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. We have wanted to use these resources that we received from the federal government, not only to strengthen the response that we've had to undertake from the health perspective, but also to facilitate some very important support for both institutions and businesses and organizations within Oakland County, and also for individuals. So we have used our funds to support nonprofits, to support small businesses, to help our cities, villages, and townships, our cultural institutions, and individuals who needed food assistance. We have tried to use them aggressively to help respond to what we know is an ongoing crisis, both economically, both health-wise and economically, on account of COVID. And we couldn't ask for a better partner in United Way, because they have helped facilitate the implementation of a number of key programs. So they helped to facilitate a nonprofit grant program that we ran over the summer. They're helping to facilitate a child care provider grant that we're currently operating, and now they're very much helping to facilitate this program. And this one we're very excited about, because all of our previous efforts have been targeted to organizations or businesses or institutions that have been hard hit and that do work with vulnerable populations throughout Oakland County. But we've always wanted to find a way to help facilitating getting assistance right into the hands of people who need it the most. And early on, United Way, with partnering with FII, started a very what I thought at the time was an innovative microgrant program to get small amounts of direct cash assistance into the hands of people who needed it. And so building off of that, especially as we've seen some of the unemployment insurance issues change over the course of the pandemic, as we've seen some of the foreclosure issues change, we all know that there's still many people out there who need direct assistance. So we're very pleased to be able to bring you this initiative, partnering with United Way and partnering with FII to really get to find a way to help facilitate getting assistance directly to the people who need it. It's CARES Act eligible because they've been hard hit by the COVID pandemic economically. But we really, really need your help, because you will be able to help us reach the individuals who are in most need of the assistance. And you'll also be able to help should they need assistance accessing the online system. So we're very pleased that you would join us today to learn more about this and to very much help us in the implementation. So I will turn it over now to our partners at United Way to really get into the meat of the presentation.
Thank you, Hillary. We really appreciate our partnership with Oakland County. And we're really excited to partner with Oakland County on this new initiative. So my name is Megan Titus. I'm Director of Economic Mobility for United Way of Southeastern Michigan. And I'll be giving an overview of this new program, how it will work, and how we're going to be able to get out cash into the hands of Oakland County residents who may be struggling to make ends meet, and how we're really, as Hillary said, counting on the support of all of the organizations on this webinar in order to help us achieve that goal. So this webinar, you were invited to this webinar as a trusted community organization within Oakland County. This webinar is primarily for nonprofit and community-based organizations. So we hope that that's who's on the line. And so feel free to drop questions in the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen as we're going through, and we'll make sure to get those questions answered before the end of the program. So now I will share more about what this program is and how it works. So we are offering, again, through the generosity of the Oakland County CARES Act funding, we're able to offer a $500 microgrant for Oakland County households that are struggling to make ends meet due to the pandemic. So this is a flexible to pay for whatever expenses are most urgent for their household. So it can be used to make rent, be used to pay for food. It can be used even to pay for needed technology in order for students to attend school virtually. So it's really flexible. It's broad. There's over almost $2 million in direct support for Oakland County households. And so the applicants will apply directly online through our partnership with Family Independence Initiative. So I'll turn this over in a minute to our partners at FII to explain what that process actually looks like, but it's all online, and the applicants can receive funding directly into their bank account in as little as 4 to 7 business days. So again, we're really excited to offer this program in partnership with Oakland County and FII. After this program is not yet launched. This is the sneak preview. After this webinar, we'll send out an email that has the link to apply, and it has additional support documents, which I'll go through and describe what you'll get after this webinar. But I do want to make a note that it's very important that applicants apply through the process that we outline in the follow-up email. There's a specific link just for this fund, and FII is managing other funds for other folks. So it's really important that when you share this with your community members that you share the correct link with them. So who is eligible? This is for Oakland County residents that are 18 years old or older, that have a household income of less than $70,000 in normal times. So we're targeting low to moderate income individuals and households, and it's 1 application per household. So that's the basics. Then on top of that, individuals or households must be experiencing a financial hardship brought on by COVID or the economic repercussions of COVID, so that we know that COVID hasn't just been a health crisis, it's been an economic crisis. And so this is what we're really trying to help, is individuals and households that have been hit by that economic crisis. So we've got 5 categories here on the screen, on the right side of the screen, of different types of financial hardship that would qualify someone to receive a microgrant. So any type of disruption to income. So again, that could be a job loss, it could be a layoff, it could be an unpaid leave of absence if you were sick, if the person was sick and was unable to attend work. if they're, had to stay home from work due to childcare responsibilities because their children's school was closed, a variety of circumstances in which they were unable to work for a period of time and lost income as a result of that. It includes people that have ongoing reduced income. So these might be folks in the retail sector, the restaurant sector, the sales sector, folks who are employed, but they're seeing a significant reduction in their income due to the economic challenges of an economy trying to continue to operate under COVID. And so that's a qualifying characteristic. We also include folks that are, that are still struggling with a job loss and haven't been able to regain employment, or folks that, maybe were coming into the workforce, folks that may have been incarcerated and are returning home and are struggling to find a job because they're returning home in the middle of a pandemic. So a wide variety of circumstances there around disruption, reduction, loss or lack of income. We're also including folks that may still be employed and may still be drawing their normal wages or salary, but they're facing increased expenses due to COVID. So folks, for example, that may normally qualify for free and reduced price lunch for their children at school, but if school's not in session and the kids are home, they're facing increased grocery bills, or they're facing increased utility bills because they're at home all day and their whole household is at home as opposed to being out and about in the community. And then also that technology need. So if you need to purchase, a tablet or a basic laptop for a child to be able to attend virtual school, that's also an eligible reason. And then finally, we've included this kind of catch-all category of an emergency need or an inability to meet a basic need due to COVID. And that can be, that on a case basis is one feels like it should count, and this directly, that's an eligible option. So I will call your attention to the bottom left-hand side of the screen. There are documentation requirements. We do need people to prove their identity, prove their address, provide some documentation of their prior income, and provide documentation of that COVID-related qualifying hardship. And it's really important that everyone have that documentation with them before they start the application process. So that's a way in which you, as supporting community-based organizations, can really prepare your clients and community members for success in this application process, is helping make sure that they have that documentation ready before they start. And again, we're trying to be really flexible and accept a wide range of documentation, but we do need documentation of those 4 factors. So what is the role of all of you? So we really need your help. As Hillary has said, you are trusted organizations within the community. You have that direct link to the individuals that you serve and that are part of your community service footprint. So we need your help in 2 ways. The first is to get the word out. Some of you have already started doing that, even though the application is not open. I really appreciate your enthusiasm. So the application will go live this afternoon, and you can start getting the word out. We have prepared a flyer for community use. So it's an applicant-facing flyer. We will share that out in an email after this webinar. So there'll be a nice flyer that you can use to share this information with community members that are completing the application. We have done our level best to make this application as user-friendly as possible. You can apply online from a computer. It's mobile-friendly. You can apply from a phone. But we know that the folks in our community that are most financially vulnerable also tend to be the ones that have the least levels of digital literacy. So I think, the community-based organizations that have those connections with individuals serve as a really important link to help them deal with any kinds of technology issues they might be facing in filling out that application. So with that, I'll just one last time say that after this webinar, we'll be sharing out an email with a whole bunch of reference materials that, that we've talked about here. I would request that you don't just forward that email directly to your listservs or your clients, because some of those materials are meant for you and some of them are meant for your clients. So do read that email carefully, look at the attachments. There will be an attachment that is that applicant-facing flyer that's really intended for you to share directly with community members, but there will also be a support guide for nonprofits that's really not designed to be shared with the community. That's for you to help you understand sort of what this application process looks like and how you can support your community members in helping them get through that application process. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Tiara from the Family Independence Initiative to demonstrate the application, how it works, and continue to show you how you can support your constituents and your community members.
Thank you so much, Megan. Let me just get my screen shared. All right. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. As she said, so Family Independence Initiative, a lot of times you'll hear me refer to it as FII. I know my screen's still loading here, but mainly what I can go ahead and do is get started talking. I'll also be going through a lot of information, so there may be questions that may pop up. I am joined today by my supervisor, Kofi Kenyatta, and so he will be answering questions. So if you do have questions as I go through this presentation, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We will have opportunities to, at the end, to go through that, especially if it's something that it's a question that's happening throughout the process. And so Kofi will be able to answer your questions live. One thing I do recognize is that some people on the call, this may be your first time hearing about FII. So the big thing to say about FII is we trust and invest directly in our families. We use our platform. When you have families sign up and they come to apply for the funds, you'll also see the term Up Together. So we use our platform Up Together in order for the families to access the dollars. And then outside of this initiative, we also create a space for families to build social capital and connect with one another as a community. And that's open to anyone. The main reason why we got started is that we recognized that there was an issue with the war on poverty. And we recognize that, annually we spend a lot of money on trying to figure out how we can address poverty and get people the funds that they need to be successful. And so FII believes in investing directly in people, giving them a space to build that social capital, and then also really starting to tackle the deficit-based model. So if families do get access to more dollars and they do get successful, that they aren't punished for it and they lose benefits, and instead they're incentivized as well for their connecting together and also doing what they need to help move their family forward. And the way that we do that is through our strength-based approach. So we believe in direct investment. So again, through this initiative, you'll be able to see that firsthand. We give restricted cash to families, and we trust that they'll use those dollars to do what they need. And meanwhile, in our traditional FII model, we allow families to build social capital and community building. So right now, what that looks like, if you are a family or you have a family and you are interested in starting a business and you want to get together with a group of people who are also interested in starting a business, we have a platform and a space where they can all work together and help one another so that they can help see the successful or the fruition of that business. An opportunity outside of this is also when they're building that social capital, families also get access to offers, which allows them to then use those dollars to help support that business. So the greatest example I can think of, if a group of women want to start a yoga business and they are talking about that on our platform about how they're going to do it, and some ideas of where they could hold their sessions, and then they get access to FII dollars so that they can then go out and purchase the yoga mats that they need, or rent out a space or a facility to hold their classes. So unrestricted cash that they can use to start up something that they need. And then, of course, agency. So agencies, the families have full agency over their decisions and how they decide to use their dollars. Now, more specifically to our COVID-19 response, this is where this partnership came about today. Since COVID-19 began, FII, we did have to shift a little bit. And of course, you know, we work with the needs of the community. So right now, whereas in our typical model, we talk about how we can help people gain economic mobility and grow their assets. But we recognize right now, a lot of people are just trying to maintain. So with COVID-19, the response, we are giving these one-time cash transfers out to families so that they can use this, whether it be to cover a bill and the many things that Megan just kind of touched on and explained. And she's already touched on eligibility requirements, so I will skip over that. But how it works, so if you're a partner, like we said, use your pre-existing relationships to rapidly identify people that you think this could help and benefit. We also just want to plug, we are still in the middle of a pandemic, so we're just asking everybody to, you know, if you can do it remotely or do it safely as you're doing your outreach, we definitely encourage that. We just want to keep people safe while we're also trying to help. Also, there's a link that I have here, but Megan mentioned she'll follow up and send that out. So this is the official link, fund.uptogether.org. We recommend that when you reach out to families, that to not only just send them the link, but send them the supporting documents that have been prepared, just so that they can kind of understand and have as smooth of a transition when applying for the funds. If you're an applicant on the call, you know, they just need the link. And then one thing I just let them all know is to check their emails frequently. As you apply, or while they're going through the application process, they'll receive an email when their application has been submitted. And they'll also receive follow-up emails every time that status changes. So if they are approved, they get an email. If they are denied, they get an email. And then they're also updated if they're when their payment has been sent out to their preferred choice of payment. And so what that can also mean is that if for any reason FII had any issues with the payment information, or, oh yes, and you can also check your text messages, because sometimes what you'll see when I'm logging on, you can also sign up via text message or phone number. So if they sign up via email, to check their emails, if they sign up with the phone number, to check their phones for those frequent messages. And again, going back to if there's ever an issue with the application, meaning there was an issue that we had with bank information, so we couldn't get the payment through, our support team reaches out them via text and email over time until we can get that information fixed, so that we can make sure families get their funds as soon as possible. And so now I'm going to run through a demo. I did leave some screenshots on the next two slides, and I can feel free, I'm happy to send this over to Megan on the team as soon as when they send out that email. These are just some screenshots of an application. During the application process, they have to verify their identification. And since I can't switch from this shared screen to my phone shared screen, you won't be able to see that process, but I have these screenshots here for reference. So let's go ahead and get into the demo. All right. All right, so as I said, the website is going to be fund.uptogether.oakland. So you'll put that in your address bar, or the family members will put that in their address bar. And then what they'll see here is our logo, so that they'll know they're in the right place. So just in case, to make sure if families are saying, I'm not sure if I'm on the right website, they'll know, and they'll see Oakland Together, and that'll let them know. And then we also have language below, so that families can expect what to see throughout the application process and what they'll have to verify. And so this gives them an idea, and then just make sure we remind them again, and Megan said this already, to please ensure that you have all the documentation that you need so that you can get the application done, and preferably one sitting. One thing that you'll also see on this page is you'll see a help bubble. So this help bubble right here, if the applicants ever have any issue with the application, I'll run through a demo of how they can use this, our support team. But again, if they run into any issues, they can literally click that purple bubble on site and just type in how they need their support and access our live chat. So that's something that'll also be on that front page before they even get a chance to log in. So when it's time to log in, we're going to just hit log in to apply. On our login page, we have different options. So as I mentioned, you can email, they can get an email to receive their login. And this is something called a magic link. So if they enter in an email address, a link will be sent to their email that they will then have to click, and it will sign them into the system. And they can also receive that via text message. We also have the option to use social logins. So a lot of people, they can log in with their Google or Facebook. For the sake of today's example, I'm going to use my email. So then my Google email will then be connected.
I don't think the screen that
Yes.
you want us to see is what's on the screen. I'm seeing something called application demo.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you to all those in the chat that alerted us to this problem.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Make sure I get the right one. Let's do desktop. Okay. Okay, now let me try to go back. So I can just kind of, so can you all see the login page now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is the login page. So sorry, let me just quickly review that. So if they have an email or phone number and would prefer to receive a magic link, they'll enter that information there, and they can say, so right now it's on send me a text message, but if they decide to enter an email, send me an email. From there, a link will be sent to their email or their phone that does have to be used within 60 minutes to an hour. I always encourage families to just use it as soon as possible, and this will enable them to get logged into the site via this method. Another option is for them to use their social platforms. So we have Google as an option, and we have Facebook as an option. Again, even if on this step they need some support, we have a help bubble right here in the corner that'll be available to them to walk them through that process. And so for the sake of the example, I'm going to click on one of my Google accounts. And then it'll bring me back to this page, but now instead of saying log in to apply, it's going to say apply now. And then I am going to turn my camera off to hopefully speed up the bandwidth. So, okay, apply now. Oh, let me try. Let's try a different login since I tested with this one. All right. So when they get to that first page, it will fill in the first name and the second name. Sometimes if they enter in this information via, or that information is connected to their email, it will like autofill. So in this case, we see Tierra Comer, which is my name, and then I can just select my birthday. And so this will be a drop-down option where they can drop down the calendar and select their birthday if they'd like to. But what I will also say is that if for any reason they have an issue with this, they can also manually enter the birthday in case this is giving them a hard time. If they're on a cell phone, which a lot of our applicants do use their cell phone to apply, it'll, depending on if they have an iPhone or if they have an Android, that'll just give them a drop-down box where they can scroll down and enter in the birthday as well. For the next step, so this is the process where I included screenshots. In order to get their identification, we will require them to upload an ID. And so it'll give them the option to do a passport or a driver license or some sort of ID card that they have. When they click this option, it'll then ask them if they ask them to enter their phone number, and they'll receive a text message with instructions on how to take a picture of the front and back of their ID, and then it'll ask them to take a selfie. So this is how we will verify. Once that selfie is taken, it'll say identification verified, and then what'll happen is the phone will instruct them to return to their computer screen, or if they had a browser up in their phone, it'll ask them to return to that section, and they'll see this on their screen when they return. And again, to kind of explain that process, I do have those screenshots worked into the presentation. Next, we'll be entering the address. So during this step, the address is going to be super important in terms of especially zip codes. We just want to make sure that they are Oakland County residents, and they'll also have to, upload some documentation letter. And then also the address, when they're entering in their payment, sometimes this information is duplicated over for if they decide to receive a payment card. And what we've noticed, and you have the option to change it. So if someone who has a different bank account is going to receive the money on behalf of this person, we have it in our system where they can change that address in that step. But again, for here, it's just always important to try to enter in the correct address and make sure that if they have an apartment number, that they enter that into the second line. I say this because if for any of you on the call today, if you're connected with people who might live in the same group home, or if they live in the same apartment building, if they don't put that address or that apartment number or that room number in the second line, the system will think the same family is applying, so they'll be denied. So for today, I'm just going to enter in Oakland County address I pulled up. And then again, just making sure that if it's a department or a certain room number, entering in that special department, selecting your state, and then using a zip code that is within the zip code line for us. All right, so that address is there. Next, they'll have to just verify their identity so that they can confirm or verify their home address that they just entered. And so they have the option to provide a form of government ID, and they have the option to perform 2 secondary IDs. So any of these here are available to upload. For the sake of today, let's just do a driver's license, since that's the most popular form of identification that people use. And if they have this picture on their phone, so right here I'm just going to use a Michigan driver's license. If they have that image on their phone, or if they're applying on their phone and they have a screenshot of their driver's license in their photos, they'll have the option to upload it from their photos. If they're on a computer, it'll just be in their regular documents and files. And so that's uploaded there. The name of the document will pop up next to click to the upload. Next, we want to verify that income. So making sure that, in the normal world, they had an income under 70,000, and we're asking people to do this by either submitting these following options. So for the sake of today, I'm going to use a tax return as a sample. So if I click tax return, and then I just go down, click proof, and it'll give me an option to upload that item. So again, we recommend that if they are using their phone, to just that they grab screenshots of their tax return. If they are in their computer, they can go ahead and just search their documents in their computer and upload, again, that tax return. Once this document is uploaded, it'll allow them to advance to the next step. And here's when they have to talk about their financial hardship brought on by COVID. And so we give them several options in doing so. So we'll first ask them to explain their hardship. So let's say that they had a disruption of income. And so if that's the case, that'll be there. And then let's say that this reduction of income was due to a layoff or furlough. And then the next question it'll be a branch from that and asking them to choose the primary reason for the job loss. So this is where they can kind of explain why that job loss may have happened. And so that can be that. Now, what I will point out is with this step, if they pick something such as reduced income, if they have a reduced income, we can say like, oh, maybe they had a reduced income or they lost their healthcare benefits. So in this case, this would not be applicable. The second one is not applicable to them because it doesn't relate to them losing their job. So they would just click not applicable. So now if, and I guess like, yeah, let me just say, so let's say if was a reduced income, so they lost their healthcare benefits. And so we can just say that the issue that they're resulting in, maybe due to them losing their job or having a reduced income, they don't have access to benefits anymore. So, you know, they said that it's related to healthcare costs and that's what they might decide to use the funds for. And then we give them a space to talk about that. So you can say, I lost healthcare benefits due to company budget cuts. So they can explain that, and they have this space to just give us that further explanation. And then they have to prove how they lost that. So this can be a letter that they received from their job. This can also just be, you know, a pay stub that maybe shows that they're not getting paid as much. So to prove my hardship, I will resolve or show something that proves that I had a loss in income. And then from there, they'll click proof. And then I'll go here and say, search pay stub. Paycheck PDF. And so from there, they can upload a document. And again, this can be a screenshot. If it's something that was sent to them via email, they can screenshot it from their email to make sure it's in their photos if they're using their phone. If they are using a computer, they can, of course, screenshot it or download it from their emails or take a picture of it, email it to themselves, and then download it. So depending on which device they use, there are several ways to get the image uploaded, but just throwing out those different options. And now, so we can ask them how they plan to use the funds. So if I'm still going along with the same option, we can just say that this family might decide to use their funds on healthcare. So maybe they want to get their kid to a doctor's appointment and cover that cost. And so we have several options that they can use it for, even, you know, if they need school supplies for virtual school. So select that option, and then it is optional to share more, but they can or they cannot. But the main thing that we are concerned about is knowing what they're spending these funds on. Next, we're just asking for more details about the family and their situation. So in normal times, you know, what was their field of work? Let's say this person was a gig worker, so maybe they were an Uber driver during this time. And if it was something other that cannot be in this drop-down box, they can select other and then type it into this option. Then we like to get an idea of just ethnicity. So I'm just gonna write down mine. So I'm saying African American or Black, and then I'll go ahead and use my gender as a female. And then it'll ask age. You can type this in, but you can also use this arrow on the side to scroll up or down. So that's an option as well. We will ask how many members are in the household. So even if it's just one person in the household living alone, that can count as a family. And it also could be a family of 5. Just the one thing to just make clear here is it's only one payment per household. So even if it's that one person and maybe they live, you know, maybe it's 2 people that are roommates. One thing we've said, and they consider themselves 2 different families, they would just need to make sure that they enter, like, you know, that I live in room A or suite A, and I live in room B or suite B, to make sure that if they are an individual in a household, but somebody else in that household would like to take advantage of the opportunity, but they are not a family, then that's a way or workaround for that. So for this, I'll say 2. Let's say it's a family of 2, or we can even say 3. family of 3 where there's probably 2 adults or might be 2 adults or 1 adult. So put that there. And then an idea of how many children from ages 0 to 5. So let's say they have a teenager in the household and we'll do 1 there. And if there are any seniors, they can just communicate that. So these are, again, just analytics that help us learn how many people we are serving and also the demographics and the reach of the one-time cash transfers. So once they get through all of that, the final step will just be certification, so that we want to make sure that they certify that everything in this application is correct and true. And so we're hoping that, you know, everyone says yes. And this next step, the really important thing right now for this is that when they pick their payment method, we want them to be very sure and certain of it. What I will say is that before you press submit, you can go back and change your mind. So let's say someone wanted to do direct deposit and they decide to fill out the information for direct deposit, that's an option. Or if they decide to do a physical debit card. This is the step where I'm saying it's really important. As it said, it's like, just be really careful, because sometimes on some devices, right now I'm into our development site, but once families are signed in, it will fill, so it can pre-fill this information. And so we want to be sure that they enter in the correct information, that they want this card mailed. To make sure that their card is mailed to the correct place, we just want them to go through and enter in their address again, their date of birth. And again, some of this information in the regular site will pre-fill. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and enter in that same address because I want my card to be mailed there. Not forgetting the room number or apartment number. All right, and then save. So they'll get a notification that this payment method has been saved, and then they'll see the payment method that they chose in green. Once they select this, once they select this and submit the application, they cannot change this. So I share this to say, sometimes we've had applicants where they'll say, oh, I picked direct deposit, but I don't have that account anymore. Can I just get a card instead? Right now, with our current technology, we cannot switch that payment method. So it's really important that when people select a payment method, that they are fully okay with that. Now, what we can do is, let's say someone, you know, selected direct deposit and they said, oh, because of a reason I had to change my account. They can go in and change that bank information. They just can't change their payment method. And then we'll just, on the end, we'll confirm that they were applying for the right fund, that they are with the right program, that it's for the correct amount, and one more time confirming their payment method. And so then we'll hit submit. And it'll take some time to load, but they will get a notification right then and there. And then just putting, and you'll be able to see instantly. Let me just share put on my camera. And so instantly, I received an email in my, oh, maybe you can't see my screen, but I received an email in my notifications. I just got a notification that my application came through. And then from there, it's also important that one thing I do want to show you is that we always recommend that they visit their dashboard. So a lot of times when you're looking at our support articles, when applicants have questions about, oh my gosh, where's my application at? What status? What's the status of it? When in doubt, check the dashboard. So then they'll be able to click on their dashboard. This is where they can go to see their applications and the status of it. This is where they can go to look at their profile information. This is where they'll go to add in an address if they need to, and this is where they can go to update any bank information. So you'll see the bank information that I chose here. So let me close out of this. Okay, can you all see my presentation now of the application demo that I was originally in? I think it's loading, but do you see a loading box? Yeah, cool, okay. Come back here. All right. And just briefly, I mentioned that I put screenshots in, so I didn't get to talk about it. But this is just a visual of what it's going to look like. So they'll get a text message telling them to verify for FII. They'll click that link. Once they click that link, this is the box that'll give them the option to take a picture front, a picture in the back, and a selfie. It'll also give them the option to scan the back of their barcode, and then it'll manually upload everything. Of course, with most, depending on your phone, this could vary, but with iPhone or Apple products, it'll ask you to allow them to give access to their camera. And then this is just an image of what it looks like when it's scanning. So there's a little red line that goes up and down and scans. And then that's kind of my face being blocked by a box, but it'll ask you to take a lovely selfie. And this is the also the next page that you'll get. So when it says, please continue verifying back on your computer. So this will pop up, and that's when you know that, okay, you've been verified, you go back in, and then that screen that I showed during my full demo will pop up. So the next thing is just support, and this is going to be a little bit more quicker. We have, in order to support our applicants, to support you as partners helping the applicants, we have 2 different support sites. So we have one for partners and we have one for members. So let's first start with partners. One thing I will say about the site for partners, you will need access. So if you are interested, however you found out about the webinar today, you'll just need to make sure I have your name and email, and I can also allow the team over at United Way to step in on the best way they want that information. But we just, as FII, we need your name and your email, and I can get you access to our partner support. So I just wanted to highlight that when you click on the link that we'll share out to access the partner support, you will have to sign in. If it's your first time, it'll give you the option to sign up. And that's when you'll have the opportunity to enter in your full name and your email. And as long as I get your name and your email, we'll be able to give you access, and so that you can go ahead and have access to all the articles and the support chat. And the reason why we have a separate one is, and Megan kind of talked about this briefly, the way that you all ask FII questions or need support from FII is going to be different than the member. So we have additional articles that you'll sometimes find in the partner page that you would not find on the member page. So my favorite feature of our partner site is definitely, of course, the live chat. If you need access, there's a blue bubble that'll show up on your page. And so you'll click support. And then it'll just ask you, how can you help? So maybe you're having an issue with application status and you just need clarity on that. So you'll enter that, and then what will happen is, as support, we try to be proactive in what challenges people will run into. So as soon as you enter in your problem, several article options will pop up. And you can also search these options or these articles here in this text box. But in the case that maybe you go through this list and you don't see anything that helps you, you can click on the button live chat. It'll just ask you for your name, your email, and they would ask for like a ballpark of what they might need to help you with today. Let's just say we're experiencing technical issues, and it's optional to upload your phone number, so you won't need to upload it, and then say, and I'm just gonna put testing so that they know that they don't have to, worry that I need anything, but it'll say testing, and it'll automatically let you know right here. So queue position 2. So once it gets to 1, that's when it gives you an idea of when you're in line to be supported. And as they get down to 1, our live chat team will get in touch with you and they can help you real time on what your situation is. I'll share the hours in a moment, but yes, this is our chat option. And then, of course, if you need to search for an article, the most popular thing that a lot of applicants sometimes need help with is, how do I access my dashboard? So let's say you want to learn how can I help an applicant access their dashboard? You can say like access dash, and then some other options will start to pop up. So for today, I just want to know how to access a dashboard. And the articles will already have built-in screenshots. So you'll see, here's a screenshot of that. They'll give you the link of where you might need to go to access the dashboard, how you log in, and then some step-by-step options of what's needed to do for you to access your dashboard. And as being a partner, you can take this information and send it directly to the family or the member that's applying. The other option is for our members, and it's going to be very similar, but again, you won't need special access to get into it. So even if you're a partner and maybe you're waiting to get access into our partner site, this is also an option for you to get support. So let's go here. It's loading. All right. So as you saw with the member support, I didn't even have to sign in. It took me straight to this website. And then as it's loading, what's going to happen is a purple bubble will pop up in the bottom right corner. And so if the members need, and so here's the purple bubble that'll say help. So if the members need access, same process, they would just click help. They would say, application issue. And then similar articles will pop up, but you just hit contact us, and members have an option to do a live chat or leave a message. So they'll click live chat because a lot of times that'll allow you to work with them real time. If it's outside of our hours of the live chat being open, but they still want to at least get their question in the works, they can submit a message and someone from the support team will get back to them. If for any reason the member hasn't heard back via the email from the support team, that's when you can loop us in and let us know, and I can escalate and figure out what's going on so that we can get the family member answers as soon as possible. And same deal, so they'll just enter in this information, and then once they click start chat, they can start that conversation real time. For members, they also have the option to search articles just like you. I know a lot of times members' main question is, where's my money? Or where's the money at? Or like in a lot of, so let's say, where are my funds? And so let's see. So this is the case where different articles will pop up related to their funds. But I'm thinking of one thing that might pop up the most is payment failed. So and I know like this is an example of the payment method. So what happens is it'll take them to an article that'll explain where they're, what different payment options they can use. And I was really looking for a certain article, but okay. And sometimes another popular issue though is if an account was restricted, they have to go through certain steps to unrestrict that account. But typically for the open enrollment, since we're verifying that, our applicants should not run into this issue as much, but this is just an example. Once they have access to this article, it'll give them screenshots of step-by-step of what they need to do to get around that problem. And if all else fails and they can't find an article that they need, again, I would just access the live chat. So just some closing points of things to keep in mind. One thing to just keep in mind as they're going through this process is this is a one-time cash transfer. So once families tied to their address, once they've applied for this fund tied to their address, they will not be able to apply again for this fund and receive those dollars. So just make sure that families know that, and it's really important that that is tied to the household. So if mom decides to apply and then dad decides to apply, dad will be denied if mom applied first. So a one-time cash transfer per household. We also just encourage, we've seen in the past, like some of our partners with good intentions, they make emails for the family members, but what ends up happening is a lot of that login information gets lost or something goes wrong. And so if you are going to support a family by getting them an email so that they can apply, just please keep in mind to encourage them to create their own email that they will have access to and they can create a password for, so that they won't have to reach out to you and you have to try to figure out, you know, oh, which password did I assign them? So yes, just encourage your families to create their own emails if that has to happen. Accuracy matters. 9 times out of 10, all of the issues that our applicants run into, or if they're like denied when they should not have been denied, it's due to just they forgot a number when entering their bank account information, or they forgot to enter in the apartment number when entering their address, or they forgot a number in their zip code. So now we don't think that they're a part of, you know, Oakland County. So just make sure to encourage families to triple check everything in every step. Our system is new. So we are growing. We are a growing organization. And with COVID, we have grown very fast, very swiftly. And so our support team is really trying to, as fast as they can, work to get all of the glitches and things fixed away. But however, if you run into any glitches, let our support team know, and they will work around and figure out what we can do as soon as possible to figure out what the issue might be. If families do decide to get direct deposit, we just let all of our families know that that typically takes 3 to 5 business days. It depends on your bank. Do not quote me on this, but I have heard people say that they get their funds as early as 1 to 2 days. So, but with that being said, we just always tell our families 3 to 5 days, but again, it just depends on the bank. For prepaid cards, those take 7 to 10 business days just because those have to be mailed out. So just keep in mind that and we want to make sure that they also have the correct address on there, because we've had somebody, you know, they entered in an address and then they moved and forgot to let us know. And so their card never arrived to their home address. And then we had to like reorder and get a new card sent out, which, you know, can be done. But again, that just takes more time before the family gets their dollars. And when in doubt of the application status, just have the family check their dashboard that I showed earlier. And using our support, and here are our chat hours. So over time, we've tried to extend and build up our support team and expand these hours. So these hours have even grown within the past month. And so we typically always have someone on handy, even when FII closed down for the Indigenous Day week. We had a long weekend where we closed down. That weekend, we also had some support members that were on board. The hours were shortened because of the holiday, but we had people on site ready to help. And that's all for me. And I know there's a lot of questions probably in the chat, but I'm happy to help answer as we go along.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Tiara. Hello, everyone. My name is Kalea Long, and I'm the manager for Economic Mobility Initiatives at United Way for Southeastern Michigan. Tiara went through a very thorough overview of a demo of the application as well as troubleshooting. But if you as partners and applicants find yourselves having additional questions or issues and you need someone to help escalate, please feel free to email me at Oakland Microgrants with an S at unitedwayscm.org. And when you email us, please include the reference ID number for the applicant, and remember that that is provided to them via email once they've applied. Please include any pertinent information like screenshots, information about what you've done to work with a partner so that that can kind of give me a running start as I escalate that inquiry with FII and the Up Together team. Additionally, outside of just applicant issues, if you have more nuanced questions about eligibility, or if you have questions about documentation or more complex situations, please feel free to send an email to the Oakland Microgrants at unitedwayscm.org. And then next up, we have Q&A.
Great. Thank you all so much. The chat, the Q&A has been just lit up. I'm so excited that everyone has been so engaged. You guys have been asking wonderful questions. We really, really appreciate you and all of the great questions that you've been answering. So Kofi and I have been behind the scenes furiously typing answers to the questions. So we hope we've answered most of them along the way. There's a few that I want to just kind of lift up for discussion because they were some themes that came through in the questions. So there was a bunch of questions essentially around how do we support our most vulnerable residents? How do we support people who don't have internet access? How do we support people who don't have a smartphone? How do we support people that are homeless and might be living in a car on the street? These are all really, really great questions. The answers are a little imperfect. So you're just that is why we are having this webinar. That's why we reached out to all of you, is because we know that you have links to those individuals. We absolutely want to support them. They are our most vulnerable residents. But we're going to have to get a little bit creative about how we do that. And we're going to have to rely on you to support those individuals. So as was answered a little bit in the online Q&A, we really do prefer that individuals apply as themselves, and that you're not, applying with your email as a staff member for the applicant. And the reason for that is so that the applicants can get the information directly themselves. Now, we recognize that for some folks that's going to be really hard. Especially if it's someone who doesn't have regular internet access. I really hope that this can be an opportunity. Never waste an opportunity to help set someone up with a Gmail address, right? Again, knowing that there's a lot of digital literacy problems, challenges, and that's more complex than it sounds. But can we take this opportunity to empower individuals to do some of this on their own, or to help them apply as opposed to applying for them? So we really encourage you to do that. In terms of folks that may lack internet access, that's a really great opportunity to talk to that person about what internet access is available in the community. So where can they go to access the internet? If someone is homeless, we do understand that poses particular challenges for the address verification requirements, but we in no way want to exclude homeless individuals from this effort. So we will work with you to figure out something that works. That's why United Way is playing this sort of facilitative role to help sort of figure out what are the key themes, work with our partners at FII to figure out a solution that's going to work. So for individuals that are staying in a shelter, you can absolutely list the shelter as their address. Providing a letter from the shelter would be a great opportunity that would be one address verification. We can help think, and we'll post an FAQ on our website about what are other qualifying address verification documentation for someone that's living in shelter. For someone that's literally living in the streets or in a car, that's obviously a little bit more complicated. And we really welcome your thoughts and feedback. Send us an email at that email, Oakland Microgrants at unitedwayscm.org if you've got ideas. as to how we can serve those individuals. We do have to put a structure and a framework around it because unfortunately in the time of COVID, there are hackers out there who want to take advantage of this program. And so of course we have to put some constraints on it, and we do have to require documentation because we don't want creative hackers to take the funding away from our vulnerable Oakland County residents. So we do have to have those documentation requirements, but we are absolutely willing to work with you, trusted community-based organizations, to make sure that those requirements don't preclude your most vulnerable residents from taking advantage of the program. So I think that those are sort of the biggest questions that came up in the chat. And so there was a question, are all of the items needed for proof of ID or income listed on the website so applicants can reference prior to applying? That's a really good question. We have listed that you will need documentation. We haven't provided an exhaustive list publicly of what is acceptable, but I think that would be a great thing for us to add in the supporting documentation. So we will put that together and share that out, because again, you do have to fill out the application all in one sitting, and you need to have the documentation available. So we will make sure that we provide as much information as possible about what kinds of documentation are acceptable. And again, we welcome your feedback. If there's a kind of documentation that you think should be acceptable, that your clients have, and they don't have other kinds of documentation, let us know. This is an iterative process. Again, we have to put some structure around it because we can't allow fraudulent hackers to take advantage of this money. That is not who this money is for. But we have to have some structure and some documentation requirements, but we absolutely want to work with you community-based organizations to make sure that we are not excluding anybody. And there was one other question coming into the chat. So when is it available? So this application will go live today. So we will send out an email after this that provides, again, all of that information that you need and able to be able to support your residents and your clients. So there will be a client-facing flyer that is designed to be shared directly with clients. There will be a support document that sort of captures some of what Tiara went over today around sort of what is the application process, what do people need, so that you know and you can support your residents, your community members, your clients in applying. It is after 4, so I do want to wrap up. And so if there is any final lingering questions that someone thinks we need to answer, throw them in the Q&A in the next 30 seconds, and we'll do our best to answer them. And then we will wrap up. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for your support, for your dedication to your clients. Such good questions. You can really tell that you all are thinking through how can you make your clients, your community members successful in applying for this opportunity. So we really, really appreciate your support. And that is why we are announcing this opportunity through you all, right? We decided not to do a press campaign. We decided to do a community-based outreach campaign because we really want to reach those residents that are most in need. And so we really appreciate your support and your connection to those residents. Okay. I think we're done. So again, thank you so much. One last thing. So we will follow up with everyone whose email address we have. If you got an email from Oakland County Microgrants at United Way SEM and it was signed by me, that means we have your email address. You don't need to do anything. We will find you. If you got that email forwarded to you by someone else, if you would just shoot us a quick email at Oakland County or Oakland Microgrants at United Way SEM. I will put that address in the chat here. Or you know what I'll do is I'll just flash the slide again. That will be quicker. Oops, there we are. All right, that's the email address right there. Oakland Microgrants at unitedwaysem.org. If you got notification about this webinar from someone other than that email address directly, then we don't know who you are. Please give us an email so that we can include you in information going out in the future. So thank you everyone again for attending. We really appreciate your support, and get in touch if you need help with supporting your clients through this process.